Hi, welcome to today's lesson. We are going to learn the letter I. That's correct. That's the letter I. So, we're going to pronounce the letter and most importantly, learn to read and write the letter in your Puppy Lines book. So let's go!
But before we start, like and subscribe below.
So, let's listen to the sound and look at the pictures closely. The short sound I. The short sound I. Look at the letter I. Now look at the letter I. What's the sound of short I? The short sound of I is I. Let's say that again. The short sound of I is I. Now you say it. The short sound of I is I. That's it. Again, the short sound of I is I. That's correct. So, the short sound of I is I. Well done. Great practice. The short sound of I is I. Great job. Now look at the picture. This is called an iguana. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. Iguana. Now we had a giant iguana up a tree once. I remembered that. Iguana. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. Iguana. I'm sure you're going to hear more about it. Now look at the picture. This is called an insect. An insect usually has wings and 6 legs. Insect. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. Insect. I'm sure you're going to hear so much about it. Look at the picture. This is a home. It's called an igloo. It is a snow house and it's used as a type of shelter. Igloo. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. Igloo. I'm sure you're going to hear more about it. Now look at the picture. Now this is a colored fluid used for writing, drawing and painting. This is called ink. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. Ink. I'm sure you're gonna use it someday. Oh, look at the picture. It seems that she's ill today. She's not feeling well. She is ill. Ill. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. Ill. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. We hope she feels well soon. Now look at the picture. The man placed his hands inside of his pocket. Inside. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. Inside. It begins with the letter I. It begins with the short sound I. Inside. I hope that you will be able to practice it. Boys and girls, let's get ready to hear the story. Look at the words that begin and has the letter I. So we're going to also say the sound. So listen up. Introducing the letter I. Now Iggy was a cute lizard who loved playing in my mother's garden. Every afternoon, Iggy climbs the fig trees looking for food. One day, my mom saw me looking curiously at the fig trees, and she asked, "Are you okay?" I told my mom of the discovery, and she laughed and said, "That's an iguana, sweetie." Iguana. The sound of I is I. Can you write the letter I on the puppy lines? Let's try and see. Here are some instructions before you start. You must write across the page. That is from left to right, which at the same time will help you to learn to write better. Now, let's look at your seating position. As a student, this is very important. You should sit correctly at your table, comfortably holding your tripod pencil. Yes? Great job! Now, sit back up straight, lean back on your chair, rest. Do not allow your pencil to lean over the table. Ensure that your chair is pulled close to your table, and your feet must be kept flat on the floor. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. Now, what's this letter again?
I.
That's correct. The short sound of I is I. Look at the picture, listen, then write the letter I. You pull down and dot. You pull down and dot. Great job! Try it with your finger in the air.
You pull down and dot.
Slower.
You pull down and dot.
Amazing job! Great! Now keep practicing. Now let's write our letters like Peppy the puppy. Always remember that with body letters, you write between the dotted blue line and the red line. Let's try our letters like Peppy the puppy. Write the letter I in your Penmanship Puppy Lines book. Now, let's try it on the paper.
You pull down and dot.
Don't forget to do finger spacing.
You pull down and dot.
Amazing job!
Great job!
You pull down and dot.
Amazing!
You pull down and dot.
That's correct!
You pull down and dot. You pull down and dot.
Wow! You have completed your lesson on the letter
I.
Now stay tuned for the letter N. And the short sound of N is N. Goodbye, you guys!
If you've reached this far in our video, we'd love to hear you comment below. Our channel is just for you guys. Check the educational links below.